Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Board Game Mechanics. I'm Katie, and with me, as always, is...
Hey, everybody, what's going on? It is Jason.
And here in the U.S., it is Thanksgiving week. I'm doing the turkey trot, but no one can see it. It's a dance. It's a real dance.
No, it's not.
It totally is. Okay. I love NCIS. If you haven't watched it, you should. But there's an episode, a Thanksgiving episode, where Gibbs comes into Abby's lab, and it's Thanksgiving. And so Abbey is playing music, and she's doing the turkey trot.
I guess I don't remember.
Oh, it's such a good one. Anyway. It is Thanksgiving. I have spent all day cooking, and then I was feeling kind of weird, and I took my temperature, and I'm like, oh, you have a fever. So if I say anything crazy during this podcast, I'm going to blame it on fever-induced stupor. I'll try not to say anything crude or terrible that will make this not safe for your families. That usually doesn't come on when I'm in a fever.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's usually feverless. That's when you start getting potty
mouth. Yeah, okay. Yes, everyone knows Katie. She just swears like a sailor all the time on the podcast.
Yep. That's how I remember it.
Mm-hmm. You'd have to bleep this a lot more if that were true. We'd get like little E ratings on all of our podcasts.
That's true.
So we still have a lot to cover this episode, so I want to get right to news. Maybe you're listening after you've stuffed yourself with turkey, and I hate to disappoint you, but news is going to be short. I had 2 items of news, and then after a little further digging, the one thing I want to talk about was this really pretty Japanese game about flowers called Bouquet, but it's only shipping in Japan, and I don't think we have a fan base in Japan at the moment.
I think there's a couple people that listen. I've looked at the demos, and I think there's a couple. If you listen, not enough to matter, I think. If
you listen in Japan, number 1, let us know. And number 2, check out Bouquet. It looks really cool. But instead, I'm going to talk about a different game. It's from Flying Man Games. They're actually out of Australia. And I do know we have a number of Aussies who listen to us. So, hey, you guys are awesome. I did not mean that as a pun. I'm sorry if it came out that way. And they've also made one that I looked at before called Prognosis Death that had some really funny artwork. So this one just actually looks really good, and it's called Inheritance. And Inheritance is a card game, and I'm a big fan of card games that like kind of play quickly, but have really good decisions. And this Inheritance looks like it. So actually, it's for 2 to 4 players, and what you're trying to do is prove your legitimacy as a suitor by addressing some kind of changing desires from this royal family and the successor to the royal family. And you're going to kind of do that with multi-use cards. The artwork on these cards are really cool. It's kind of minimalistic in some ways, really beautiful, like colors, kind of stained glass artwork, but not like a lot of faces on like the people they show, which I think is really interesting. So you've got these cards. You actually do have a main board. So it's not, I guess, all cards, but there's a board that shows the royal family and the successor who you're trying to win over. There's also a proposal laid out. So what's interesting about this is each card has suits of different colors. And the yellow suit is like, they're all kind of related to proposals. So the yellow suit is a coin. So it means that that kind of proposal means you have a large dowry to offer. And so the parents will like you. So that means that if you play a card at the beginning of your turn that matches one of the suits of the parents, then you are a favored suitor. Because, of course, the parents want a suitor with lots of money, right? Okay. See how that works? Thematic. There's also like a love suit, which is a favor of the successor. There's like a peace suit where you're like, hey, we're just kind of making this match like as an advantageous thing. Like, hey, we're not here to fight. So any missing suits that like if it's not the successor or one of the parent suits, so it's like outside of that, that's favored suit. Or you can choose war and no suits are favored. So you're just duking it out based on kind of like the rank of the cards. So you've got all these cards. They have different names on them, like beggar, assassin. Trying to think what else. What is that? Is that fiddler? I don't know what that is. Oh, vizier, general. You've got your royals. You've got your soldiers, your thespians, peasants, cleric. Okay, so all these different kinds of people that have different suits assigned to them. They also have a special power on their text. So on your turn, like you either want to play a suitor that's favored, and then that means you win. Or you're trying to play cards to put to be the one who has a favored suitor. So you're playing cards to like change the rank that wins, to change the proposal, like suit that wins, to get rid of other people's cards, like all those things. Like it's just this kind of cool card play mechanism. Like your cards can be used in multiple ways, and you're deciding how you get what's left in your hand to be the most advantageous, so that way you can win. I mean, you're trying to start your turn with the favored admirer, and that's how you win. But if you don't, you try to make it so that when it comes back around to you, you can. Again, not like overly complex as far as how to play. It even comes with a wedding ring in every box, it says. And the box kind of has like the look of like the book, like the ones from Facade Games. I remembered a company. Oh my gosh.
Good job.
I can't believe I just did that. Amazing. Like Facade Games. So it has it's got like this medieval look to it. I just think it looks really fun, and then it plays quickly. So you could do it again. Tarot sized cards with cool art. I like multi-use cards. I like that kind of thing. Some cool strategery going on there. So if you like any of those things, or you're like, what is her incoherent rambling about? Check out Inheritance by Flying Man Games. It's on Kickstarter. It has 7 days left on the Kickstarter, and it's $30, which isn't bad for a wedding ring.
No, that's not bad. And it has some cool art. It sounds like it's like a funky trick-taking game. And, I dig that. So this is definitely one that I have liked on the Kickstarter page. So we'll see. Yeah,
I don't think it's more like trick-taking. It kind of reminds me in some ways of Council of Verona. Only there's not like hidden agendas, but you're trying to change like who's in favor.
I see. Like a tableau manager
there's
thing.
There's another game that's better to describe it, but I can't think of it at the moment. It'll come to me, or someone will just tell me, and I'll be like, you're right, I'm an idiot. But it does look really fun, and kind of like how it does it, and I think the art is cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Sounds good.
All right, that's all I have for news. Thank goodness.
All right, so let's talk about some games that we played. We've actually played a lot of games because we didn't have the podcast last week.
That was totally my fault. I'm so sorry.
So the games we're going to talk about this week are the games that we were going to talk about last week. So we played them a couple weeks ago, but they're still worth talking about. And the first one that I wanted to talk about, that we're going to talk about, is a game called Obscurio. And this is from the same company that did Mysterium, which is... I don't know who that is. Not sure. But it's the same company. This is kind of like a spiritual successor, I guess, because it plays similarly. And now what this game is, while Katie's looking up who did it, this is a game where someone is playing as the clue giver. And we kept, the person who was doing this kept calling themselves the book. They taught the game, so I don't actually know what they're called. So we're going to call them the book.
That's supposed to be thematic, is the book, and it's Libellude.
Libellude, okay, that's the publisher. So they're the book, kind of like a magical tome or something, I don't know. And everyone else is playing an investigator or something. I don't even know what the other roles are.
What we're called.
But so everybody is working. It's a cooperative game. Everybody's working together. And what we're trying to do is the book is going to be giving some clues on these two cards that are round and like Dixit cards. So they're just funky art. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to find the exit out of these 6 or 8 different cards that are up on this tableau by looking at the clues that the book has given us. The interesting thing is one person who's playing is a traitor or a spy, or I don't know what the term is, but wants us
Traitor.
to not get it right. So we're all working together except for that one person to try to find the door. As long as one person finds the door, we advance on the track one step closer to winning. For every person that gets it wrong, though, we're going to be using some of these tokens, losing some of these tokens that are kind of like the game timer. So we won't need to complete the game before we run out of those tokens to in the time. And each turn, there's going to be a different event that gets pulled out of this bag that's going to take the game and flip it on its head, may give us more doors to look at, may put us under some time pressure, all that kind of thing. So yeah, it's Mysterium-esque, but it's easier to play and easier to teach, I think, but still has a similar kind of vibe and same art, same good production, all that stuff. And I kind of enjoyed this one. It was good. So how'd you feel about Obscurio?
I did like this. I have some reservations about Mysterium. It's not bad. I don't know. I haven't played it in a long time. The components are cool, but it's really hard. I like that you work together on this. I think that helps. Because sometimes the clues can almost seem obscure. Also, the cool thing about this, so like the sorcerer is trying to get you, and you've got this grimoire, which is actually what a book, but it is a book, but that's what the person who's kind of running the game is. So the nice thing about this that I think helps when compared to Mysterium is that you can have like little arrows to point to items on the cards that are being used. So that helps, like you can talk through like narrowing things down to help figure out what they're pointing at, which I think is helpful. Then the trader, it's kind of cool. Like there's these event cards also mix things up, and the trader can add in cards they think might be confusing to help throw everybody off. It wasn't hard, I don't think, but it was, kind of intense and just interesting to try to work through. And I think it has kind of a higher player count. It plays up to 8 also. So, and I think with the higher player counts, it is better. We played with 6?
Me, you, Jamie. Yeah, it was 6. So 1 was the book and then 5 guessers. Yeah.
And that was good. And even more would be good. But I thought that was kind of a good number because you get variety of people's like opinions and ways of looking at things. And the cards do look really cool. So that's another thing I like a lot. And of course, why wouldn't I love a game that has a theme of being in a library? I mean, come on. It was like it was made for me. The designer of this was L'Atelier, if that helps.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But yeah, Libolut also publishes, so... Yeah, I liked it. I would definitely play this one again. It kind of made me think about like pulling out Mysterium and dusting it off a little bit. But I think that the cooperative component and the little arrow things help kind of mitigate the fact if you have someone who's kind of leading the game, the medium, I think it is in Mysterium, and you're not really quite sure like how they intend things. This helps with that. But I still kind of think maybe we need to play Mysterium.
Yeah, and it has a lot of similar DNA to Mysterium.
Oh, absolutely.
It's pretty similar. But I also think, I haven't played Mysterium for a long time, but Mysterium's not cooperative, right?
Correct. It's not.
Everyone's trying to figure out who their own murderer is and all that kind of thing.
Right. Well, and so that's why I said I like the cooperativeness of this in comparison.
Yeah. I think it makes more sense as a cooperative game than it does as a competitive game for sure.
I wonder if you could just take Mysterium and play it cooperatively.
You probably could. I mean, I don't know how, because everybody has their own murderer that they're trying to guess.
We'll work from one murderer.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It might be too easy that way. I don't know.
Yeah, but it was good.
All right, so the next game, Katie mentioned Facade Games earlier, and
I did.
The next one that we got to play is actually going to be the newest one that's going to be hitting Kickstarter in January. Yeah, look at that. Cult of the Future is what we do here.
Oh my gosh, we're practically boring and super boring.
And this game is called Hollywood 1947. And this is same packaging. It's in the book, all that kind of thing. But this theme is really interesting. So this is about the Red Scare among Hollywood in 1947. So we're each taking on, you're going to be on a team. You're either going to be a patriot or a communist. Or if you have an odd number of players, I think, I'm not sure of the breakdown, but someone's going to be a rising star. And they don't care who wins. They just want to have enough movies made at the end so they can win as a tie. But communists win if they make 4 movies in their favor. Patriots win if they make 4 movies in their favor. And this gameplay is pretty straightforward and simple. I don't like using straightforward, but this one actually is pretty simple. On your turn, you're gonna have this roll in front of you that's gonna let you do some sort of like movie roll. You can activate that ability. That's one action you can take. You can swap your roll with another roll that's out on the table. There's 9 different ones, I believe. Or you can roll 2 different people's dice. And the dice are going to be how you're going to be playing cards to make the movie, which is the second phase. So if you have a die that has a star, you get to play a card into the movie pile. And that's the core of the game. So there's going to be a movie flipped up. It may be a neutral movie. It may be a communist movie. It may be a patriot movie. Then whoever has a star is going to be playing a card from their hand into that movie to try to get it to fall into their team's score pile.
And
there's also going to...
The cards are just like on Secret Hitler, where it's just a basic, like...
Right, yeah. They're communist, patriots, neutral, that kind of thing. Similar deal. And then you're going to take one from the top of the deck. You're going to shuffle it. If someone was the editor role, they can look at the card and remove one from the game. If there's no editor, you're just going to take one randomly and take it out of the movie. Then you're going to reveal all the cards. If there's more communist symbols, the communist wins. If there's more patriots... That movie is a patriot movie. If there's a tie, it busts in the communist favor on every movie except the last one, which is how the Rising Star wins. That part is kind of tricky, but really the gameplay is pretty simple, but that little 7th movie thing is weird. It's a really simple game. It has a great theme. It's in the little book series, the Dark Cities series, which I really enjoy. And I can't wait to actually get a copy of this, put it on the shelf, and play it at a higher player count. I played it at 4. And this is definitely one of those games that I think would shine at a higher player count. So how did you feel about Hollywood 1947?
Well, I won as a communist, so that was really great. So, of course, I liked it probably a little more.
So what? We had 1 communist, 2 patriots, and a Rising Star, right?
Yeah, I took the rest of you fools out with my communist ways. Hello, comrades. It was, we've played all of these, and honestly, this... could easily probably become my favorite. I think because it's more, the gameplay was familiar. But I also thought the theme was so cool. The production is so good. We even just had a prototype. I was so sad when we had to mail it to somebody else. Because I was like, dang, I wanted to play with more people because it was really fun. Like, it is Secret Hitler-esque, but again, since people were so upset, I mean, I guess I could probably get upset about the whole communism thing too if they want. About that theme, then they may like this, but with the cool roles that are added that allow you to like manipulate cards, manipulate dice, that you can change roles to put yourself in a position that'll maybe like help out your cause more while trying not to look suspicious, while trying to throw suspicion. Again, as an avid fan of social deduction, I really enjoyed it, and I am so excited to play it again. It made me also want to play their other games, like Salem 16.
I don't know. I just say the names because I never remember the numbers.
I try to. I obviously fail every time. Salem, I want to say like 1697, but I don't quote me on that. But it has... Like, that's another one where you've got hidden roles and stuff. And so I kind of want to give that one another go because I felt like it was kind of hard the first time we played it. But I think maybe we've gotten more experience with games like that, so it might go better this time. But yeah, it was good. The production, like the art and like the design of it is super cool. So if you've never played one of these games or thought about backing them or whatever, and you like social deduction, this is definitely the one to do it, I would say. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, all their games kind of have that similar hidden role, hidden team thing, but this one's definitely the easiest one of all of them, for sure. And this one has a set number of rounds, which is pretty nice. It's not going to go any more than 7 rounds. That's it.
Right.
So it could go 4. It could go 5, 6, or 7, but it will never go more than 7. It won't be any less than 4. So you know what you're looking at there, which Some people kind of enjoy. I kind of enjoy that. I'll speak for myself. That way, I'm not playing a social deduction game for 3 hours. We're playing a game. We're having a good time. And then we can move on to something fun. That's just how I feel about it. But no, this is fun. I love all these games except for one. I don't really like the Western one, but all the other ones are great. They look amazing, and they're really good social deduction games. So yeah, check it out when it hits Kickstarter. We'll have a video. In the last game, now this is probably my favorite one on this list. So we got this from Fan Zero. He was giving away some games. We had like a little gaming day, and he traveled down. Well, we didn't have it, but our friend Kim had it, and he came, and we were there. And this is a card game from Steve Jackson Games called Simon's Cat. Now, why would I take a game from Steve Jackson for one and called Simon's Cat for another? Well, our kids watch this stupid little cartoon on some free TV app, Tubi or something. It's this little black and white, like, it looks like a comic strip kind of. This little stupid. Oh, it is a comic?
That's where it's based on, yeah.
Okay. It's a stupid little cat that's really annoying, little terror.
A cat.
Yeah, he is terrible to the master, always making a mess. Simon is the guy. So he's terrible to Simon, always making a mess. So I've watched a ton of that show. It's really funny. It's annoying, but it's really funny. So when I saw that he had the game, I had to play it, or had to get it. So we played it, and I love it. This game's so good. It's effectively Uno. So there are different suits of cards. I don't know, 5 or 6 different suits of cards.
I don't think it's Uno, honey.
Well, it plays like Uno. So we'll get to that in a second.
Okay, go ahead with your bad explanation.
So there's 5 or 6 different suits. Each suit has a different number of cards. So it's going to range from 2 cards to like 13 cards. So, and they're different colors. On your turn, you're going to play a card down that matches either the number or the color of the previous card that was played. Uno style. So that's where the Uno comes in. But what you're trying to make sure you're not doing is, well, you want to make sure you always play a card, because if you can't play a card, you have to take the pile of cards, and that's called making a mess. So whoever takes the most amount of cards, the most piles of cards, meaning they can't play a card when it comes to them, gets a Simon card, which is a little card that has Simon like scowling at the cat. And if you get 3 Simons, you lose the game and everybody else wins. So it's a race to see who can get to 3 Simons first and they lose, or if multiple people get to 3 Simons, they lose. And then everybody else is the winner. So it's got Uno mechanisms, but the collecting piles is a little bit different because that's not an Uno. So that's unique to this one, but that's the gameplay. It's really simple. It's real fun. I love the art. It's adorable, and definitely can't wait to play it with our youngest, because I think she'll dig it. So how do you feel about Simon's Cat? And then you can fix my explanation if you want.
Okay, Simon's Cat should not be as much fun as it is. Like, legitimately. It's like a trick-taking game where you don't want tricks.
Yeah, Uno meets trick-taking, yes. I'm not giving up on the Uno thing.
It reminds me of Crazy Eights more than Uno.
Oh, yeah, I can see. Yeah, that's true.
Thank you.
I haven't played that I haven't played that one as much.
I played the crap out of that. That's my first cursed card game I ever learned to play. Was that. It, like, the artwork is adorable, and also I think we probably appreciate it if you have seen the comic, or if you have watched the little animated show they've made of it, then you will really appreciate the artwork. But again, it's like just the idea of like, okay, I don't want to make a mess. How do I make someone else take this mess? And like that tension of like, okay, what's left? How many of these gnomes have I seen? Oh crap. Like, okay. All right. Well, I've taken 1 mess, but I think you're going to get stuck with 3. So it doesn't matter. You know, like, it's ridiculous how much you get into it, and you're like rooting for other people to not have cards. And you are, you're living the life of the cat, like make messes but blame it on somebody else is really the goal of it. And it's dumb. Like, it's such dumb fun that you can't help but like love it. So I'm sure you can get this cheap at places. Because again, I don't love Steve Jackson games. But this one is just a fun little card game, fun to play with kids. And then, yes, I would definitely check it out. It's on Tubi for free. to watch the cartoon, especially if you have cats. If you have cats, everything about this, you're like, oh my gosh, I totally get it. Like, you get the card game, you get the videos, it's all there. So yeah, it was good. It's a fun little time.
Yeah, I did make a video of this, so it's on our YouTube channel, and I think I said this is my second favorite Steve Jackson game. First one being Revolution. Yeah. Because this one is actually, it's just super fun. Like, it's stupid, it's silly, it's simple, but it's just a good time. I have a fun time playing this. It's so good. So yeah, anyway, those are the 3 games that we played. Let's keep going.
All right, well, we're still counting down our top 100 games of all time as we head toward the end of 2022. So this week we are coming to you with number 70 down to number 61. So we're basically covering the 60s. I got to admit, I got some games on here. I'm like, wait, I know I like this game. Well, what's it about? And this is the part of the list for me where I'm hitting games that I know are good. I just don't play them maybe as often as I should. Or we don't own them, but the first time I played them, they were enough to really stick out to me. Now, Jason doesn't have any of those on his list, but I do. And we don't have any crossover this week. So you're getting a full 20 different games. So, Jason, I know. You start off with your number 70. Let's get started.
All right, so my number 70 is a game that I made a trade for. It was criminally out of print for a while from Days of Wonder. Then there was a deluxe version that came out from a place called Mojito Studios. And this game is called Cleopatra and the Society of Architects. And this game has fantastic production, so we'll talk about that first. Great plastic bits. You're using the bottom of the box as like this thing to build on. You're actually putting pieces around the box,
so
using
foundation.
It as part of the foundation. Yeah, that's the word. You're using the box as part of the board, which is cool. You're putting stuff on top of that box, you're putting stuff around it. But at its core, what this game is it's a card game, effectively, and you're drafting cards from one of these 3 sets of cards that's out in the market. The trick with these cards is some of them are face up, some of them are face down, and you don't know always what you're getting. So you may take a pile of cards and, there may be a couple good cards face up, but all the cards that are face down, you don't know there, and they could be terrible or not what you need or something that give you a lot of like curses and all that. And you're trying to use those cards to build the different types of things around the board to score points. Some of the cards are really good, and if you use them, they're going to give you these curses, or I forget what they're called. But whoever has the most of them at the end of the game is going to lose, so you don't want to get those. And as you're building things, you're going to roll these dice, and if once all the dice show an Ankh symbol on them, you're going to do like an auction to try to get rid of some of your corruption. Corruption, that's the word.
There you go.
And whoever at the end of the game has the most amount of corruption loses. Everybody else is alive and will add up their score from buildings and cards and all that stuff that they have. It's most of the game is the production value. It's a pretty basic game at its heart, really, but I really enjoy it. It's fun and it looks good. So my number 70, Cleopatra and the Society of Architects, and it has a lot of beige and tan, which I do appreciate.
Yeah, it feels a little gimmicky to me, and I've gotten eaten by alligators every time, so I guess I don't
Same.
have as favorable of a look on it as I think other people might, because apparently I am terrible at this game.
But you have a good time. You're having a good time until you get eaten by the alligator. So
I don't know if I'm
crocodile, I guess.
Crocodiles,
right?
Yes, crocodiles. Because we're going to be in Egypt. In a completely different part of the world. My number 70 is, of course, a theme that I love, and I didn't play it for so long because it's one of those games that Jason would play with everybody but me for some reason. I don't know why he does.
I only played it once. I only played it once before we played it.
Okay. Still very upsetting. But that game is Yedo. So Yedo's in Japan. I have all the feels for Japan, of course. But this game is really cool. Like, you are working in, like, you're like these elders in the city of Yedo, which is what eventually becomes later Tokyo. Much, much later. And so you're trying to really, like, go around and like, do the best that you can in the city. So you're like, you're getting prestige points. So you can complete missions to do that. But you have to get stuff in order to complete missions. And some of these missions are dreadfully hard. But it's worker placement. I'm trying to remember this game for the life of me. It's worker placement. I know there's some places that can get blocked off sometimes where you can't go. And there's only, like, it's not unlimited worker placement. So sometimes you're just trying to get to the place that you need as soon as you can. Gosh, come on, brain. And there's some areas you can't go for some reason, or you have to have the right cards to go there.
You can't go to an area when that little guy's blocking it off.
Yeah,
but the little red or blue guy.
Yeah.
You can go to, sometimes there are events that come out that will block off sections.
Yes.
Other than that, there's just a limitation on how many people can go there.
And of course, inevitably, everybody wants to go to the place that you want to go, or you want to go to some place more than once, but other people are there. To just, like, you're collecting weapons. Gosh, I was like looking at the cards, trying to remember this.
There's geishas that you're trying to get.
There's geishas. And some of them are like, you gotta kidnap this, like, official's wife, or you gotta kill this other person's son, or you need to learn some secrets at the ceremony. It's espionage. So there's even like some set collection that you can do with the different kinds of like mission cards that you can get. But the mission cards require you, like, maybe you have to have someone in a place for some influence. You have to have money. You have to have certain type of weapons or multiple weapons. So it's just a lot of juggling, a lot of resource management, some hand management, worker placement, like just trying to get as much stuff as you can to fulfill as many contracts as you can. It's really good. And I honestly can't even tell you why, because I'm like, I forget half of it all the time. But in looking at the board, I'm like, oh yeah, like the colors really stand out to me. I like the look of it. I like that idea of where you're like, okay, which one of these missions am I going to complete first? And then I'm going to have these same weapons like left over to use for this, to use for that, like trying to get things without having to go to the space in like other ways, because you're just trying to make the most of these workers that you have. And with the limited spaces that you have to go to these different places to collect the stuff. I really liked it. I would like to play it again, obviously, to jog my memory. It's like a little crunchy. I don't want to say it's like overwhelmingly crunchy, but you really have to work that system and like figure out how to get around things and get what you need to fulfill those missions. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. So my number 70 is Yedo.
Yeah, my favorite thing is you either have to use your worker to get the stuff at the location or to be used as completing a contract. So you're kind of like trying to decide, which is pretty neat. That's a little different, and I like that. So moving from Japan, my number 69 is going to take us to China. And this is a game from What's Your Game.
I'm so proud that you knew that.
I did know that. You're building a Great Wall. And this is called Zhanguo. I probably said it wrong, but yeah, whatever. I'm trying. And this is a game. This is a really heavy game. It's heavy. It's a beast. And what you're trying to do in this is you are trying to bring all the governors of the territories of China together and instill your religion, your currency, and your laws. Basically, what that boils down to is you're going to be playing some cards. And you have a choice. You can play the card to the main board, which will let you do a certain action so long as you either play it higher or lower than the card that's there. And those actions could be building the Great Wall. You get points for building in different sections of the Great Wall. You may be able to instill a governor in a certain location. You get points and bonuses for that. You may be able to build a temple in a location. You may be able to, there's one more, do something else. I can't remember. Get cubes to put on your player board. Or you can put a card down in your player board, which is going to make different districts on your player board that represent districts on the main board more powerful. And when you do locations using that district, you're going to get more bonuses based on what action you take. It's actually a pretty simple game to play. Like Vitel was sort of simple. You just play a card and you do the thing. But when the thing happens, a whole bunch of other stuff happens. It's hard to teach. It's got a lot of rules. I mostly just play this 2 players by myself just because I hate teaching it, and Every time I play it, I have to relearn it, but it's worth it. If someone knows how to play it, I would love to play it with you. And yeah, that's it. So my number 69 is Zhanguo.
Yeah, this game is good, but it is ridiculously hard. Like, I'm like, yeah, I play heavy games, and I was like, my brain is leaking out my ears. By the time this is over, I'm like,
Yeah.
how do I do anything again? And it reminds me of how I act in a Vital game. I'm like, okay, I want to do this. How do I do that? Okay, I need this thing. Okay, well, how do I get that thing? Okay, I have to go here. Okay, but I don't have enough to go there. How do I get what I need to go there? It's like, blah.
Yeah, I actually think this is heavier than Vital games because Vital's games are more intuitive.
Yeah.
Which makes this heavier than that because it's not as intuitive as his stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to play this card and it might fire off here and then I get this one. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I would play it again, absolutely. But after I play it, I need like a break.
Oh yeah, it's for sure. This is a game that you pretty much, this is the only game you're playing that day. It's a beast.
Oh yeah. My next game is not a beast necessarily, but it's fun and the theme's fun and it's got really cool components. And I think this is a Simon game, right?
Yes.
What? Is this an Eric M. Lang? Is he part of this?
And Bowser, yeah.
Hey, I am 2 for 2, people. Can you believe I didn't even look that up. I didn't even look that up. Straight off.
You're learning. You're learning.
Straight off the head. The game is number 69, Victorian Masterminds. What drew me in on this initially was the artwork. The artwork is cool. It's like steampunky kind of thing, which is really part of the theme because you're in the Victorian age, but you've got machines. So you're trying to, everyone is like an evil mastermind who's trying to build a doomsday machine. So you're doing that by playing these like really cool, and like these components are awesome in this game. These really cool gears that have different types of people that work with you, the evil mastermind, and they do different things. And you're going to lay them face down on these different locations to either like collect parts for your doomsday machine, or you're going to use them to like capture famous landmarks. You know, it's just all these fun, like evil villainy things that you get to do. As you build a doomsday machine, you're unlocking like special powers and things that you get to help you just with your reign of terror. Again, the components are cool. The cool thing about like the worker placement mechanism is so each worker does a different thing. And once a particular like place is full, like it has 3 workers, right? Is the full?
Yep.
It's going to resolve. So you're going to get things, or some of your workers actually negate someone else's, like worker that's there if you happen to come after them.
Right, and that's the only mean part of this game. That's it, just that one guy.
Yeah, just that one guy. But how that's played and when that's played, you can really thwart some other villains' plans, which are lovely. It's got all these really cool miniatures for the different like landmarks, like Big Ben and the Basilica and the Eiffel Tower and the Colosseum. Just like really... It's just really, it looks cool on the board. I think that the cover or the box art is cool. I don't know who does the art. That's the one thing I don't know. But it's just a fun game. It's definitely one that you want to play with like 3 or 4 for sure. 2 is not great. I think 4 is good. But it still goes quick. David Tosello. No idea.
Yeah. I grabbed the box, but I couldn't find the artist.
David Tosello. I love that artwork. It's like the main guy on the front looks like Dick Dastardly, but made steampunk, which I'm a big fan of Wacky Racers. So love that. It's light-ish, but there's enough like cool things happening and like really great components that I think it's worth any gamer playing. So I really enjoy this, obviously, because it's my number 69, Victorian Masterminds.
What other game did we play that had that same deal? Oh, it's Don't Go In There.
Yeah.
Don't Go In There does that 3 thing. Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking of that when you were talking. Yeah, Victorian Masterminds is great. I think it was on my outside the 100 thing. Just, yeah, I like it. Just, I liked other things better, I guess. My number 68 is a game that I actually think it moved up because right before I played it right before I did my list.
Yes, and it was a good time.
It was very fun. And this game is called Everdell. And Everdell is a little tableau building game, worker placement game, where you're taking on the role of a little type of creature. We only have the base game. So there's like 4 different creatures you can be. Critters, I guess, is actually what they're called. And on your turn, you're either going to send a critter out to the board and collect some resources, maybe get some cards, claim a goal, that kind of thing. Or you're going to build a card into your tableau, which is, I think they call it your city. And you have a 15 card limit, and cards are going to give you things. When you build certain cards, they may give you some kind of resources, some kind of bonus. Some cards are going to give you points for other cards. You're just trying to build the most efficient tableau in front of you. And eventually you're going to run out of workers, run out of things to do. You'll pass into the next season. You'll get more workers. You get all your worker back, keep going. Different seasons may trigger some harvest. All your green buildings can activate and all that kind of thing. And after you play through all 4 seasons, whoever has the most points is the winner. It's a family weight game, I would think. Maybe a little bit deeper than that. But it's really fun. Great art, great production, and I really like it. I would like to try an expansion at some point, but we don't have any. So maybe someday. So now my number 68, Everdell.
Yeah, maybe Christmas present. I had such a good time the last time we played this that it will be discussed in a few weeks, actually.
Dang, nice.
I know. It was good. Before, it was kind of moving down in my esteem, and then I was like, dang, I like this. This is good. And I really think an expansion would make it like Chef's Kiss even better. Speaking of Chef's Kiss, and speaking of Uncle Vital, my number 68 is a Vital game. It is not my favorite Vital game, but I have grown to appreciate it after a very, very poor initial play where I said, never again, I hate this game. I had a bad experience, and all the while, Uncle Vital was watching me play it.
Yeah, I was going to say, but you also were being watched by Vital, which was cool.
Yeah, so that just makes how badly I played even worse. And that game is Lisboa. So in true Vital fashion, Lisboa is about Portugal. The city of Lisboa actually had an earthquake, like a pretty serious one, like 8.5, like a 9.0 magnitude in 1755. And so now, after the city's been destroyed, you are going to help bring it back.
It wasn't just an earthquake. It was also floods and fires.
Well, yes, but that, like, the earthquake triggered a tsunami, and then there were fires because everything was broken.
Yeah.
So it just was basic pandemonium. It was like in Hercules, the Disney animated movie, where, like, everything happens in this one town. That town was Lisboa.
Yeah.
So you're helping the king and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Marquess of Pombal, whatever. We are like, yes, we're going to fix this city. So really, you're trying to get points. But you're doing that through working like on the downtown, like working with these businesses and stuff and helping set up the streets. There's boats and stuff. Like, honestly, I barely grasp this game still. So, like, I can't even explain it in a thematic way. Like, you're putting houses down on these buildings, and that somehow triggers these things on the edges of the buildings. And there's some shipping things somehow, and you get boats. Uncle Vital said, don't neglect the boats. That's why
you can't ignore the boats. Yeah.
That's why it sticks out in my mind. You've got to get permits to do this. This is again the Vital game where I'm like, okay, I want to build on this street. How do I do that? Okay, well, I have to have money. Okay, well, how do I get money? Okay, well, I probably need to ship some stuff. Okay, how do I get stuff to ship? Like, it's just like, okay, well, I want to build here. Well, you have to have a permit. Okay, which one do I? Okay, I need to get a permit. Okay, which permit do I need? Oh, I have to go to the. It's like, oi.
Yeah, and just like Zhanguo, this game is also play a card, do the thing. That's what drives all of this. You're just playing a card, but then all the other stuff fires.
You're never just playing a card. I don't even remember playing cards in this game. That is, again, how much I don't understand it. But I've had good experiences playing it. Like, the first time, no. But since then, yes. And each time I feel like I figure it out a little bit more. It's, again, not my favorite because I think of that, like, the sheer complexity of it. You have, like, a player aid that's like a freaking book.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's outrageous.
Huge.
It's huge, and you absolutely need it. Like you do. But man, if you want to sit down and like really dig into a game, like this is it. Like it's got Eno Tool art. See how I remember that there? This is the Eagle Griffin. So of course it's like expensive, and I don't know how we end up with a copy. Probably scratch and dent or something.
It was on Cool Stuff, actually. They were selling it for $45.
A steal, people. A steal.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Partially because there's a crap ton of stuff to this game. Like bits and cards and tiles and old dudes and wigs on stuff. We have played this with the Queen. Is that an expansion? There's no way there's an expansion. Remember,
no,
it's like this 3 old dudes.
Yeah, all the Queen does is just replaces one of the characters with a card that makes her a queen, I think.
Okay. I like it. I like the Queen, obviously. But this game is good. It's one of those, like, it's so difficult, but not, like, but only difficult enough that it makes me want to come back to try and figure it out. And I love Uncle Vital. So, that is my number 68, Lisboa.
Yeah, I'll be talking about this multiple weeks later.
Really? This isn't your favorite retail, is it?
No, it's not my favorite, but I do like it. I don't think it's my favorite. It might be the same favorite that you have, I think is my favorite. But it's definitely in my top 20, I think.
I don't know that. I'm not looking at my list, so if we talk about it next week, pretend it is my favorite is in my top 20. Whoa. Okay, sorry.
All right, so my number 67, speaking of games that kind of melt your brain, I guess I have a lot of these in this section of my list, which, again, I think it's because I don't play them a ton. And it is Trickerion, Legends of Illusion. I don't know. It has a subtitle. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Trickerion. And this is a game about, that's the 2-player, like, expansion thing.
Well, then why do you have that listed on, like, all of our tracking?
Because that's I put one in there, and I thought that was it, and then it wasn't. So I just used that one as my stand-in for Trickerion.
I talked about this last week.
So Trickerion is a game where you're a magician from, like, I don't know, early 1900s, late 1800s. I have no idea. And you're trying to collect different types of materials to make tricks, to, like, so you can put on tricks. And then you're, and this is all done through some programming, worker placement stuff. And then eventually, once you have tricks, the stuff for the tricks, you have to go to your like workshop, put the tricks together. Then eventually, you're going to have to go to the theater so you can set up the trick and hopefully perform the trick to score points, prestige, and all that kind of stuff. And as the game goes on, you're going to be getting more tricks. You're going to get, higher level tricks. This game also has a booklet of, like, information in it, like Lisboa. It's just mostly like cards, so you don't have to dig through the pile every time, but still, it's a book. It's a great game. It takes up a ton of table space. It's a beast of a teach. Not one that I want to teach, which is why if you don't know how to play it, I'm not going to teach you, and I'm sorry for it, but I'm not going to. But if you know how to play it, I'll gladly play it with you again. So my number 67, Trickerion.
Yeah, I talked about it last week. I like it. My number 67, we don't own, and it is...
We do own.
Oh, you're right. We do own. We went and got it after we played it. We do want the Duty Markies. We do own this game. And it's an Uwe game, and we just played it at JuliaCon, and it was obviously good. And that game is Hallertau. So Hallertau, the actual, like, thematic of it is you're in this, like, area that produces a lot of hops. The game is set like 1850, I think, which is when they're like, this Bavarian village is really getting itself together. And so you are going to help it get itself together. So it, in some ways, is Agricola-esque because it's Uwe.
They all are. Yeah.
Yeah. You got the farms. So you got your farm that you're working on, and you're putting stuff in your farm. So you're planting stuff, and which is good because you want to plant stuff. You're growing things. You're getting some sheepies, and you're using it through this, like, again, like, you've got worker placement. So you're taking these actions on these different tiles to do things to help you grow your farm, to trade well and cultivate what you've got, and you're going to then use the goods that you produce to move parts of your farm, I guess, over.
Yeah, it's like your community building or something. I don't know what it is.
I think the big thing is your community building, but you've got to get other stuff out of the way.
You pick it up and you like physically move it over for some reason. I don't know.
I don't know. It's creeping. I don't understand that.
It's on railroad tracks.
But in order to do that, you've got to move your own personal buildings over. So you've got your bigger building, and then you've like, okay, well, I've also got a brew house, and I've got this cooling house, and I've got this bake house. And so you've got to get them out of the way. You got rocks in the way. And the way you move those things is through paying certain amounts of resources that you've been growing and cultivating and gathering over the worker placement period to then use in like that last phase. There's also like a weird jewelry box, which doesn't make sense how it fits in, but you use these jewels as like wilds essentially to help you out. You can get there's a ring and it moves around. That part seems very disconnected, if I'm being honest, Uwe. I don't know why it's there, but it's just a really interesting, cool puzzle to me. I really love that. I think maybe moving it over like implements like growth or improvement.
I don't know.
Like just not literally, but like metaphorically. I don't know. But you've got cards that you can play, which I like the card play in Agricola. And so I feel like the cards, and as you play them, they're like really powerful. The way like you increase your fields and like they lose potency over time unless you leave them fallow, which is like super on point if you're farming at all. We do crop rotation here in Ohio and all those kind of things. So there's just a lot of really cool stuff in this game. I like it. I like it a lot. I think the more I play it, the more I'll like it. I may like it more than Agricola because it allows you to kind of do your own thing to reach the same kind of goal. Where I feel like in Agricola, it's like, okay, you need to get one of every animal. Then you need to get your whole field filled. Then you need to get, which you don't have that here. And so I really enjoy this game, and I can't wait to play it more now that we own it. That is my number 67, Hallertau.
Yeah, and again, that jewelry thing might make sense. It might be in the rule book, but we were taught the game, so...
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. So my number 66 is a game that I'm pretty sure has been on our list multiple times before, from Queen, and it's called Fresco. And this is an action selection game where you're going to have these little meeple guys, little meeple things, I don't know, cubes, whatever, who cares? You have them behind
your... The paints are cubes.
Yeah, whatever. It's these little like meeple characters, these little tiny ones, and you're using them behind your board as like a bidding mechanism, a blind bidding programming mechanism of what actions you want to take. Whoever puts the most down gets first dibs on that action. Based on first it goes in wake up order, then it'll go in that order. And you're trying to collect different paints. You're trying to mix paints. You're trying to make portraits of people to earn some extra money. Then you're trying to ultimately go to the chapel to paint the ceiling. It's not the Sistine Chapel, but it looks an awful lot like it. And you're trying to score points that way. So mixing paints, getting paints, painting the building to score points. That's the gist of the game. It's a little more complex than what it looks like, but once you get it down, you play around, you're good to go. It's a really fun game, has cool art, nice production for a Queen game, and I like it. So my number 66, Fresco.
Yeah, I think I talked about it on the 100 Outside the 100 the other week, possibly.
That sounds right.
My next one, I think you talked on the 100 Outside the 100 the other week.
I did, yep. I did.
And that game is Indulgence. So Indulgence is a trick-taking game. And I love trick-taking games. Again, Midwest kid. We love our trick-taking games. We are euchre. This one is for 3 to 4 players. And so the cool thing is in this, you've got like these edicts. And there's an edict that really gives the rule for the hand. That's what helps you know there's not really trump, but what gets played, what cards you're looking for, what cards you should avoid, all those things. So you're kind of deciding, okay, which one do you want to go with? Can we do that? Because someone could decide like that's it. I'm going to violate this. I'm going to commit a sin. And I am going to try to do the opposite of what this edict says and get them all or get none. And oh, that is so tricky. No pun intended. This is a restoration of a game called Dragon Master that actually Milton Bradley published, which I think is really interesting, that was even a kind of play on a different game entirely before that. This is like a long tradition of games, but I feel like it has made it to the point where it's an Indulgence that it's just so well done. Like, if you like trick-taking games, you need this game because if you win, you get to collect gems for that, which they're really nice and fun to have those gems. Does this have the Pope ring in it?
Yeah, if you're the sinner, you get the Pope ring.
Yeah, it's a cool ring. So it's got like fun little like stuff, but at its heart, it's like kind of does what sometimes I think the crew does by taking classic trick taking and like augmenting interesting rules that then change every round. So you really get like a new experience. And for me, who loves trick-taking games, like, this is where it's at. So my number 66 is Indulgence.
Yeah, this game's great, but it just got overshadowed by Fireball Island and Downforce and the bigger games that they did at Restoration, which is sad because this game's fantastic.
Yes.
My number 65 is a game from Hachette, I don't know how you say it, Games, and it's called Nidavellir. And this is a bidding game at its heart, bidding set collection game, where you're using these coins that you have to kind of pre-program bids for these 3 different taverns to try to collect different dwarves, right? Are they dwarves?
Yes, they're dwarves.
And each of the dwarves are going to have a different scoring. There's 5 different colors. They're each going to score differently. So purples, the more you get, the more points you get. Green, I think they're going to do like the Fibonacci sequence, and then the more you get, the quicker they go up. Blue is just their value. Orange is going to be the number of orange banners times the number in the banner. And red, whoever has the most of those gets like gets to double their highest coin. And if you get a whole set of 5, you get to take a special dwarf, which are going to have different scoring options, maybe some special abilities. And you're going to do that over a certain number of rounds, over 2 different eras based on the number of players. And whoever has the most points is the winner. And in between era 1 and era 2, or I don't know what they call it, but there are going to be some awards for whoever has the most of each type, each color of dwarf, which is pretty cool. It's a really simple game. If you can bid and you know what number is higher than another number, and you understand how each of the dwarves score, you can play this game. It has really good art. It's great production, and I really like it. So my number 65, Nidavellir.
Yeah, I'll talk about this in a couple weeks. It's good. I actually think we haven't played it for a while. I kind of miss it. Maybe we'll bring it out. My number 65 is getting a reprint, and it was out of print for a long time, so I felt like we had this precious, very expensive game, but now it's going to be old hat. But the new one has better art for sure. That is Mystery of the Abbey. I am a Clue fan. I am a deduction game fan. Mystery of the Abbey takes that basic premise, and basically it's like, let's take what happens if Clue and Guess Who had a baby and there were monks. And that would be Mr. the Abbey. So you're trying to figure out who killed one of the brothers at the monastery. But you're doing that by, again, going around the monastery and talking to different people, seeing who they know about. But all of your questions are out in the open. So everyone has the same information. But there are like other things you can do to change this game from being basic Clue. There are some cards that you can have and play. At the end of so many rounds, everybody has to come back to the chapel for mass. So you kind of reset like where everybody is. Mass allows you to circulate cards around so you can see more of the brothers. And then you've got this kind of like little Guess Who pad where it's like all the monks are part of a particular order. They have their own particular like rank, I guess I could say, where they are in their order. They're like brothers or novices or fathers. And then some of them are fat, some of them are thin, some of them have hoods, some of them don't. Some of them are
beardy.
Oh, have beards, and some of them don't. It's just like, it's that good classic deduction game with a few little extra elements that I think just make it stand out from your typical run-of-the-mill Clue. So that's why it's my number 65, Mystery of the Abbey.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Thank you. I think so.
Way better than Clue. I'll say that for sure. So my number 64 is probably one of the greatest games of all time. Hence the reason it's on my list. At least card games. And this is a game called Scout. And this is a little card game. It's just cards. That's nothing else and some tokens. And what you're trying to do in this game is you are playing cards from your hand. The trick is you cannot rearrange the cards in your hand. And the cards have numbers on both sides. So before you even start playing, you're going to pick which side of the cards you want to use. And you can flip the cards in your hand one time to determine, maybe the other side has more numbers that go together. And what you're trying to do on your turn is you're trying to play cards down to score points. So if I am going after Katie and Katie plays 2 6s, I either have to play 2 7s or I would have to play 3 cards of a run or of a kind. If I can do that, I take her cards and I score 2 points because she played 2 cards. If I can't, I have to scout, which means I take one of the cards she plays, put it in my hand either way, wherever I want, and Katie gets a point. And you're going to keep going like that until either someone runs out of cards, or if someone plays a group of cards and everybody scouts and it gets back down to that person, hands over. And then you're going to add points. Whoever has the most points for that hand gets those points, and you're going to play over a number of rounds per player as players. Or I think 4 or 5, I don't know. I just do the number of players. And then whoever has the most points is the winner. It's a super simple game. It's a little different because having numbers on both sides is a little weird, but it's great. Everybody who we've played it with has had a good time, and I love it. So my number 64, Scout.
Yep. I talked about this the other day on the 100, outside the 100, I think.
You did.
Okay. I was just looking at how long this episode is. I'm like, man, we're making up for last week. We didn't have an episode, I guess.
Yeah, it's getting up there. It's fine.
Sorry. As I become less coherent, it's because it's getting closer and past my bedtime.
I got nothing but time to edit this thing.
Oh, my gosh. I'm going to fall asleep if I take too long. My number 64 is a cooperative game, and it is so good, and I really think we should play it at our holiday gathering. I think my cousin's husband really liked this one.
Oh, yeah. He would like this.
And that game is Black Orchestra. This is from, I will keep calling him our friend, even though we've never met him, but a great guy, PDB, Philip Dewberry.
I do message with him quite a bit, so I would say he's our friend.
Okay. I've never messaged him, but he seems like a really great dude. So PDB, Black Orchestra, this game is cooperative where you are part of the plot to kill Hitler from within his own regime. So everyone has kind of a different role that they play, and again, real people. Absolutely, this happened historical, based a lot on Dietrich Bonhoeffer's life. You can also play Bonhoeffer in the game, as well as many other people. Some who worked in the Abwehr, some that were part of the military, just lots of different things. And you are trying to move around to get different components to be able to fulfill these requirements to put a plot in motion to kill Hitler. Then you have to get where he is and then put the plot in motion to try and kill him. Without the Gestapo throwing you in jail, without being too suspicious.
Yeah. They're going to get you.
They absolutely will. And then you have to make tough choices to get out or have someone else get you out. If you and all your compatriots are in jail, you fail. If Hitler gets to a certain level of power, or is it time?
If you run out of cards, yeah.
If you go through this whole timeline, you lose. It is hard, but we have won.
A couple times. But it is so cool. It is a really cool way, I think, to interact with history because there's so much history involved in it. And again, the idea is hey, I'm on this kind of espionage secret mission to take out Hitler. It is it's tense.
But again, not super difficult. You've got kind of everyone has their action points and then like a special power to use to try to gather the resources they need, move things around, help each other out, avoid the Gestapo, try to look less suspicious, lower Hitler's like power. Just all kinds of things going on in this game, but it is super good. It's one of my favorite co-ops. And it's intense, but so fun. So my number 64, Black Orchestra.
Oh yeah, this is good. I've played this multiple times by myself with using a couple characters. It's so good. I cooperate with myself pretty well.
Yeah.
So my number 63 is actually a game that I'm looking at because I set my microphone on it, and it's from Simon, and it is called Dogs of War. And talk about a game that's hard to get. Ooh. This is one. The only reason we have it, a place was going out of business, and they had a copy. Our friends went, and I said, hey, if you can find this, pick this up, I'll pay you back. So they found it. It was a little bit pricey, but not as pricey as it is now. And this game is, it's from Paolo Mori, and this game is effectively a fancy, really nicely produced tug of war. And what that means is you're taking on the role of a different, like, benefactor or
a dog
investor.
Of war. You're literally like a merchant making money off of the war.
You're hiring like people to go fight in these wars. You're backing different sides of these three wars to try to pull the war in your team's favor to score points. But there are some cards that you can play where you can then, well, maybe that war's not going that well. You can throw your support on the other side of the same war because you don't care. You just want to win. It can be super mean. It can make people mad, but I don't know why this game's just super fun to me. I love it. It has way like more production than necessary. You start putting these minis on the board and you can't even see what's going on anymore.
Especially my minis.
Yeah, especially the one Katie always uses with these big hats. They're super obnoxious, and their power's obnoxious too.
Big hats,
but
funny.
It's a fantastic game. If you haven't played it and you can find it, or you want to, you're around us, we'll play it with you. I'll play it with you. I love it. It's great. It's a pretty simple game to play, honestly, but it's just a good time. And my number 63 is Dogs of War.
It is good. I imagine it's 100 outside 100, but I haven't looked at my list. My number 64. Nope, 63. I forgot which number we were on. Number 63 is a game that we don't own, and I honestly have only played it once, but I really enjoyed it, and I just can't get it out of my brain. And that game is Corrosion. So Corrosion, you manage a factory, and you've got these engines, and so you've got all these dials, and that's what's really cool is there's all these like gears and wheels in your factory, and you're turning them on your turn. And like again, things get corroded as you use the work, and you have to like keep things. You don't want like stuff to get rusty, so you're like trying to like fix things and shift from one engine to the next, and get your supplies going. Like there's a lot to manage in this game, but like the turning of stuff is really cool. Probably just gimmicky, but cool. Like there's like these tiles almost of what different things produce at different times. Card play with your different kinds of engineers that you're working through, like sort of like a deck builder in some ways, because you're like kind of deploying these engineers to do different things on your turn. It is good. I need to play this again. I think it's from Capstone.
It could be. Yeah, I don't remember.
But it is just a really fun game. Like at first I'm like, is it a theme I don't like? But it's not. It's like really not. It's just like using your engines, and I love a good engine builder. And this is one of those, both literally and mechanically. So yeah, my number 63 is Corrosion.
And it's all female engineers, which is cool.
It is. Women in STEM, not Steam, but there's Steam in the game.
There is Steam. It's Steam and STEM. You're right.
Steam and STEM.
So my number 62 is a game that I love. We have the expansion. I played it a pile of times.
Buttload is the word.
Buttload is the word of the day, apparently. And it's a fantastically gory, true theme, and it's called The Bloody Inn. And this is a game about running a hotel or an inn or whatever, an inn. And people are coming to stay in your inn. And as they're there, in the night while they're sleeping, you're going to kill them and steal their stuff. And the way that's done is you're going to be playing some cards to either recruit these people that are staying in your inn into your like gang or your group, or you may go into their room and just kill them. And then you have to dispose of the body before a certain time, because maybe there are police standing in the inn and they might investigate you, and you have to lose money and you lose your body. What's worse than like killing somebody and then losing it? That's terrible. But it's just a silly card game. It's only cards, really. It's just cool art cards and multi-use cards, which is cool too. It's good at all player counts. Played it at 2, 3, and 4. Love it. It's pretty quick. The expansion just adds more silliness, more craziness, and I love it. So my number 62, The Bloody Inn.
Yeah, this one's good, and I think the theme is crazy. My number 62 has fallen over the years because I honestly have found other deck builders that I like better. But this one will always hold a special place in my heart, and that is Tanto, Cuore. Yes, it is the Slutty Maids game. But over the years, they have come out with expansions, which are actually standalone versions, but you can also, I think you can do some mixing.
Yeah, you can mix all the sets together.
And they're even come out with a new one called Memento Mori, which looks just as good because they've began to put in new mechanics that I think make this an even more interesting deck builder. My current favorite is Winter Romance because you've got butlers as well as maids, and they can go on dates, and you're trying to figure out all this other stuff. The artwork is good. Some are more risque than others. But what I really love is they do a nice job of creating synergy between the cards. No matter which maids you pick, you try to get some kind of from each like amount of costs as far as populating the market. But then they just work so well together. And I think there's this great balance between I want to like get cards to like chamber, which kind of puts them in like this like unusable state, but you're saving them for points for later, but also have cards in your deck that you can use to keep that kind of engine going of getting more maids, more points. Chain them together. You have to have service in order to be able to actually play cards, so making sure you have enough of that. There's just a lot of really great things to balance in this deck builder, and I just like them all. But my favorite is probably Winter Romance, but the new one might give it a run for its money. So my number 62 is overall the whole collection of Tanto Cuores.
Yeah, I would like this more if the text wasn't so minuscule.
It is minuscule.
Like it's really hard you always have to pick up the cards, and then you look like a perv, like you're staring at the art. And I'm really just trying to read. I don't even realize there's art in the card. I just want to know what the card does. But yeah, that's my only issue.
But the only true perv is that one guy from like the board game
brawl
or whatever, who I thought was a creep from the beginning, and he really is a creep. And I hate that he likes a game that I like.
He's in jail now.
So box off.
So my number 61. Moving on from maids, we're going back to Asia. We're back in Hong Kong.
Cuore was Asia.
Well, that's true. That's true. Well, maybe they're just anime. We don't know where it takes place. It could just be maybe the anime maids have moved to like Canada.
That stuff only happens in Japan. I'm telling you.
All right. Well, we're in Hong Kong now, and this game is called Blackout Hong Kong, and this is an Alexander Pfister game, and this is a game about trying to restore the power grid in Hong Kong after a blackout, hence the name. And the way you're doing that is you're going to be playing cards to these 3 different piles, or 4 if you've unlocked it, to try to collect different resources like water, food, batteries, gasoline, all that kind of stuff. And then you're going to be using those resources to play other cards, complete contracts, secure districts to score points. Well, if you can secure districts, you're going to get a lot of points, but you could also buy new cards to get a lot of points too, fulfill contracts, get these checkpoints. Whole bunch of stuff going on. That's a super oversimplification because this is a pretty heavy game, like a lot of Pfister games, but it's great. It has some interesting stuff going on. It feels kind of similar to Mombasa. They have some similar feels to them, but I like this one a lot more than Mombasa. That's not even on my list. So my number 61, Blackout Hong Kong. Yeah,
I'd like to play this one again, actually. Because of what I remember, I liked it. We played it probably a couple times, but I like to play it again. It's good. My number 61, I think I've played more than once, but we don't own this. And honestly, part of it is because the name is so stupid. I thought it was like like a dumb like battle game, but it's not.
Druid City letting you down again with the names.
I know. God love you, James. You're the most adorable man in board games. But why? Why are you naming these things? You know what? He probably didn't. But he could have said, "Hey, Eisners, no to this name. The name is Tidal Blades, Heroes of the Reef." In my mind, it's like Beyblade. Okay, I'm making that association. Tidal Blades? Why? Because, I mean, I guess there is kind of fighting.
Barely.
I just feel like the theme is not there. So this actually has like, there's dice in there, right? I mean, you've got dice.
Yeah, you're using dice to like fulfill contracts and fight the monster, but you're never really fighting each other though.
Yeah. So it's this dice as workers kind of thing, dice placement. And the art is cool. Like, that's one really great thing about this. Looking at it on the table, it's super pretty. Also, it takes up the entire table.
It's huge.
Out of control. Lots of stuff going on. But it looks cool. So you're going to these different places with your dice to collect stuff. Yes, you're fulfilling contracts. I mean, go out and fight these, like, the massive hagworm, and you have to get these certain types of dice in order to defeat it. So you got to take the dice with you, and you got to get those different places. You choose your hero. Like, they make it sound like it's like this big, like, battle fight adventure, but it's just really like
a worker placement
dice placement as workers. I mean, again, there's like this adorable little oxalotl named Eco character that's adorable. But you have like these different dials on your player board that like move up your different power for like these different types of dice, which helps you do better with them. The like, I don't know if these are deluxe fight components, but there's like really cute little components like shells and peaches or oranges or something. I don't know.
Yeah, Chris just has the regular version, I think, and it's just cardboard stuff.
But it does look real cool. Again, really cute game. I am a big fan of dice placement games and dice as workers. And this one is gorgeous. I just definitely overlooked it because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to like battle it out in an arena, like freaking Pokemon, or what's the one with the guy with the weird head? He's got weird like pyramid hair, but it is about like Egyptian stuff.
What?
Is it Yu-Gi-Oh?
Oh, yeah.
Don't act like you don't know. What? But it's not. It's so...
No, are you thinking of Dragon Ball Z?
No, I'm not thinking of Dragon Ball Z. They don't have pyramid hair. You look up Yu-Gi-Oh!
They all look like they have pyramid hair.
No, they don't. No, they got like little sprouts poking out different areas, unless you're Vegeta. Look up Yu-Gi-Oh!
I don't want to.
Pyramid hair. Anyway, it's not that. It's absolutely not that. It's fun. Like, it says like, oh, you completing challenges held in the 3 arenas, and I just don't feel that. I honestly don't feel that thematically when you play it.
They do a bad job marketing their games for people.
I know, and it makes me so sad because they are fun to play. This is fun to play. Absolutely. But again, I know I'm bad at setting aside all kinds of misconceptions about the box art, about the theme, about the stupid name. And even as I'm reading like the description of BGG, I'm like, what the heck? Doesn't sound like anything at all. So just ignore that. Find this game and play it because it's good.
It's a good worker placement game.
It's worker placement game, hand management, contract fulfillment. Good times are had by all. So my number is 61, Tidal Blades, Heroes of the Reef.
Yeah, and we'll talk about more about that company's naming practices way later on. So, just keep that in mind.
I don't even remember what game is the worst on that.
It may have Alice in it.
Oh, it's like we recently got on like a soapbox about this.
Yeah, you know which game it is.
I do. We're probably going to play it.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, so that is through 61. Jace, let's recap 70 to 61 real quick in our list.
All right, my number 70, Cleopatra and the Society of Architects. 69, Zhanguo. 68, Everdell. 67, Trickerion, some subtitle. 66, Fresco. 65, Nidavellir. 64, Scout. 63, Dogs of War. 62, The Bloody Inn. And 61, Blackout Hong Kong.
My number 70 was Yedo. 69, Victorian Masterminds. 68, Lisboa. 67, Hallertau. 66, Indulgence. 65, Mystery of the Abbey. 64, Black Orchestra. 63, Corrosion. 62, Tanto, Cuore. And number 61, Tidal Blades, Heroes of the Reef. If you have made it this far through my incoherent ramblings, thank you. You are the true hero.
Highest of fives.
Highest of fives. And a turkey trot, too.
Nice callback.
Thank you. So for those of you in the States, happy Thanksgiving. For those of you not in the States, happy Thanksgiving anyway.
I'm sure Canada has like Boxing Day.
No, Canada does have Thanksgiving, but their Thanksgiving is earlier in the year than ours.
Of course it is. They do everything wrong. It's fine.
Well, it's probably because they're so deep in snow now, nobody can get to anybody's house to have Thanksgiving.
That's true. That is true.
Great White North, eh? But yes, we have so many things to be thankful for. And you guys who some reason like to torture yourselves and listen to us, you are definitely one of the things we're thankful for this year. So thank you so much for hanging in there with us. To be honest, things have been a little rough around here lately. And so we appreciate all your support, your friendship, and just you being a part of the hobby and helping us learn about new games. You guys are legit the best.
Yeah, it's been a nice escape from real life, getting to chat with you guys on Facebook and YouTube and all the places that we chat. So I do appreciate it because, yeah, like Katie said, it's been rough. And you guys have made it less rough and more cool. So thank you.
All right. Well, this has been more than long enough. So I've been Katie.
And I'm Jason.
Keep gaming, everybody.
Keep gaming.